Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, species around the multiverse, welcome to episode 348 of Geek Syndicate, where we do what we always do, and that is to bring the sass back to geekdom. I am Monts, and with me as always is...
Up from the depths, 30 stories high, breathing fire, his head in the sky, New Zealand, dun, 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 New Zealand, dun, 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 New Zealand, that's me.
Newzilla.
Yeah.
Is that something you really want to go with?
No, Nugezilla, not Nudezilla. That's a whole different intro, buddy.
It is. Nugezilla. I don't really know where to go from here, to be honest.
Forward.
I don't know how you choose these things from week to week, man.
Yeah, but it's because I don't have to choose week to week with our new slim recording schedule. Our slimline recording schedule means I don't have to come up with this shit on a weekly basis.
Yeah, there is that. Hold on. I'm just... Right, yeah. So, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. Yeah, I'm not too bad. It's a bit... I've got to say, I'm currently in several layers. I feel like I'm on the planet Hoth, man. It's cold.
I'm telling you. See, where I'm sitting now, I'm next to a couple of French doors. And I was like, why am I colder than everyone else in the house? And I'm like, there is cold coming off these windows, man.
Yeah.
Not pleased.
Yeah, that draft's a killer, man.
Anyway,
welcome to another episode of Old Black Folks Talking About Being Cold.
Do you know what? As I was talking, I was thinking, this is really not interesting.
I bet someone's tuned in because, yeah, man, you got to check out this Geek Syndicate pod. Them dudes are on fire, man. It's like talking to two guys in the pub, man. It's so funny and everything. Every line's a zinger. They're tuned in. It's like, whoa, it's a bit cold today, ain't it? But yeah, it's.
Do you know what? I started last night. The wife and I started watching. Is it Banshees of Inisherin? Have you heard of this movie?
Oh, this is one with Colin Farrell, isn't it?
Yeah. It's set about 100 years ago in an island off the coast of Ireland. Yeah. And it's about two guys who've been best friends their whole lives. And basically, guy wakes up one morning and decides he doesn't like the other one. And that's what the movie's about. And their conversations, man. It's just because, well, why don't you like me anymore? Because you're dull.
There's just no wiggle room on that statement, is it?
There was nowhere to go. It's like, I'm not dull. And he goes, yesterday you spoke for 2 hours about the shit your donkey did in your room. And I was like, you're dull. I mean, this is a slow, can you imagine? It's a slow movie. Several times I was in tears, man. It's just a certain old school Irish way of putting things as well. Just had me. So I haven't finished it yet, but I can't recommend it. I was like, there's no car chases, there's no laser guns. I'm loving it.
Okay.
But yeah, this isn't that kind of show, though. This is.
How about we get back to actually what we're supposed to be doing? I've got
a shout out.
Ooh.
It's a guy called Tannerly, and I can't believe I haven't given him a shout out already. Stop me if I have, because my memory ain't where it used to be.
Okay.
But I met him on tour while I was doing Panto up in Doncaster. And we're all sitting in the pub having a chat. And at some point, I realised for the first time ever in my life, in a public forum, I'm having a chat about Bouncing Boy from the Legion of Superheroes in public, in the pub. And I was like, only Tannerly, no one else. Do you know what I mean? He made it happen. He was talking and everyone's looking at us going, Bouncing Boy, are you making this shit up? Like, no, it's real. So Tannerly, respect.
Yeah, respect. Right, I don't have any shout outs. So how about we do some news?
All right, it's time for the news.
Aye. I am not happy.
Oh no.
That's my news, man.
Go on.
Not happy. So obviously, which is what our main's going to be, it's all change and all systems go over at DC Studios.
Oh, mate.
But the
Take it we're going to be talking about this in depth.
yes, we are.
Mm.
But the downside of that is obviously to wipe the slate clean, so to speak. Certain shows are being cancelled and stuff like that. It's a bit like Night of the Long Knives.
Go on.
So
What have we lost?
They've cancelled Pennyworth.
No, I mean I am proper behind on that.
I envy you, man. I envy you. You're right at the beginning of the adventure. No, I envy you, man.
How many seasons are there?
So there's 3 seasons.
Okay, I've done 2. I think.
Okay, so you've only got 1 then.
Mm.
And honestly, I Pennyworth became like one of my favourite shows.
Mm.
And I think the reason I think it became one of my favourite shows is like it's almost like they forgot what they were there to do.
Yeah.
Because it's, it was supposed to be.
I've only seen the first season, sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah.
2 to go, yeah.
The other 2 seasons is just madness. But it's like they forgot their brief. I mean, the brief is like set up, how Alfred becomes Alfred and, how he becomes close to the Waynes and blah, blah, blah. And it's almost like they got through the first season and it was like, it's on that.
Mate, they didn't even wait to the entirety of the first season.
Yeah, to be fair, you're right.
They were like, this is going well, F it. Let's do what we want.
Yeah, let's just do what we want. Yeah. And I keep comparing it. It's almost like they did. It feels like when you watch it, it feels like them old shows we used to watch back in the day, like the Avengers and like the Champions, all them sort of shows. But obviously, it's with a bigger budget and people are swearing left, right, and centre, and they're a bit more violent. But it works. It just because it's set in 60s London as well.
It's a shade different in it. It comes slightly out of left field.
Yeah. But I think, as I said, when you get onto the later seasons, I mean, they go way off from the left field. And all I'll say is one bit for people who haven't seen Pennyworth. Just one bit just typifies the show. It's in the 3rd season. It's a mild spoiler, but basically some guys turn up to Alfred's he kind of owns a pub now, right? And some guys turn up there to kidnap someone, and Alfred kind of gets a drop on them, and he's right, all right, take it, and they're all masked up. He's all right, take your mask off. So they take the mask off, and one's like a flat dude, and he looks at Alfred, and he's like, "Oh, all right, Alfred." He's like, "Tony, is that you?" And he was like, "Yeah." He said, "What you do, man? It's my pub." He goes, "I know, but job's a job, isn't it?" And he's like, "No, fair play." And then he goes, "Yeah, fair play." He went, "How's your mum?" He's like, "Yeah, she's not too bad. She's still got a bit of gout." That's a bit wrong. That's bad luck, isn't it? Yeah, I was in tears, man. I was in tears.
Oh man, I can't wait.
That to me just typifies that whole show. To me, it was just like, yeah. Job's a job, innit? Fair play.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna have to move that up. I keep saying that. There's so many things, man.
Yeah, I know.
But that was one of the ones that I'm watching with Siobhan, so that kind of comes along a little slower than usual.
Oh, okay. I hear you.
Yeah.
Off the back of that, so Pennyworth. Sorry to you go. It kind of there is some kind of conclusion, but there's also a cliffhanger. So it said,
that's sad.
Gutted.
That's harsh.
Yeah, it's a bit gutted. But something that came across my desk just before we started recording, actually, and I just watched a trailer for it. So basically, I don't really know how to describe this, but so Netflix have done a adult animated cartoon. Of course, it's animated cartoon, but it's called Agent Elvis.
Okay.
So basically, in the series, Elvis Presley trades in his jumpsuit for a jetpack when he's covertly inducted into a secret government spy program to battle the dark forces that threaten the country he loves, all while holding down his day job as the king of rock and roll.
What?
I
don't even know how to.
Mate, and Elvis is voiced by Matthew McConaughey.
Okay, all right.
Mate, I'll watch the trailer for this. I have to send it to you after we finish recorded. I'll watch the trailer for this. I'm in. I'm in for years, man. It's
Okay.
proper. It is proper.
I've got to say, I did not see that coming
Yeah.
at all.
You've also got a gun toting chimpanzee in it as well. He's like one of his sidekicks.
Right. I'm still a bit of a loss. I'm like, okay. Well, I mean, if you could have Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, I suppose you could have.
Honestly, it's got a kind of. I mean, animation is actually pretty good, but it's got a kind of Archer vibe to it.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's coming out next month.
Okay, so my bit of news.
Yep.
There's something coming out tomorrow. It's straight to DVD. It's it's DC again. Legion of Superheroes animated.
Oh yeah, I knew this was coming.
Yeah. So I was just looking because I've been looking a little bit more into what DC are doing all over the place recently, and I just looked it up. And one of the characters in it that has been cast is Arms Fall Off Boy. And I'm like, I don't need to read anything else. I'm in.
I mean,
it just made me think. Have you seen the second Suicide Squad movie?
That's what I was thinking of.
The detachable kid played by Nathan
that's it.
Fillion.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Basically the same thing.
Okay.
And my wife has a person that they teach singing on a Saturday morning, and their dad comes to collect them, and we often have a chat about geeky stuff. And I was telling him about Arms Fall Off Boy. And he was like, oh, that'd be quite useful because, like, you know, you could get your arms off and they could go around the house and do stuff while you're like working or whatever. And I was like, no, don't be silly because they've got no eyes in your hands. So it's got to be line of sight. And the guy's kid was like, yeah, of course. And he was like, wait, we're talking about someone's arms who can come off and you're worried about line of sight. And then and I'm like, we're standing in my hall, we're having an argument about Arms Fall Off Boy. What is happening to the world?
More geeks coming out of the woodwork, man.
I'm telling you. So I'm actually quite looking forward to that. But especially that they have the audacity to go with Arms Fall Off Boy.
Well, to be honest, they've done so much in their animation. Like, they've covered so many characters. I'm not surprised, man. And this latest wave of the DC animated stuff, which I think came after... I think is this called the Tomorrowverse? I can't remember. But
yeah, the Tomorrowverse.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of them. And I'm gonna make a point of actually like starting from the beginning of those, and because I think they started after was it the Dark Side War? I think that was the last one of the previous kind of sort of setup, and then obviously it kind of gets a bit of a reboot.
So I've just got it up. So what they've got out here is the Tomorrowverse. Tomorrowverse is name given to a shared universe centers and set of superhero films, blah, 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 blah. It began with, Superman, Man of Tomorrow.
That's it, yeah.
Justice Society, World War II.
Yeah.
Batman, The Long Halloween. Green Lantern, Beware My Power. Legion of Superheroes. And the only one I've seen is Justice Society, World War II.
I haven't seen that, and I'm ashamed.
It should be.
That I haven't seen that.
That one's right up your street.
Yeah.
It is. Batman The Long Halloween, I might have to get hold. Well, I have seen it. It's, you know, they get these DC short films.
Yeah.
I've forgotten what they call them. One of them's got the question in, and it's like old school question, like old school question.
Okay.
And it's basically, they've done it like it's the old Spider-Man cartoon, Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
But they made it about Blue Beetle with the question coming in on the side with him. It is hilarious. It is, I mean, it's proper retro, man. Down to the animation style, the sound, everything. It is, I think it's a work of genius. So, yeah. Anyway,
cool.
Everyone needs to get on that.
Right. Shall we move on to a bit of week that was before we do our main?
It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the week that was.
Now, don't want to do too much because obviously I think our main will probably take up the majority.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to talk about one film that I watched yesterday and a comic. So I'll start with the comic because I finished this comic yesterday. I think I almost did it in the sitting. So I think you recommended me this. So this is I haven't got all the credits here, but this is Strange Adventures.
Oh, Tom King.
Yeah. So written by Tom King, illustrated by Mitch Gerards and Ivan Shanna. And apologies because I can't. I'm just going to see if I can see that. Clayton Cowles is the letterer.
Cool.
If I read the blurb, born on Earth and hero of the distant planet Ron, Adam Strange is famous throughout the galaxy for his bravery and honor. After leading his adopted home to victory in a great planetary war, Adam and his wife Alana return to Earth, where they are greeted with cheers, awards, and parades. But not all is as it seems, as decision Adam made during battles on Ron come back to haunt his family. It will take an investigation by one of the most brilliant heroes in the DC universe, Mr. Terrific, to uncover the truth and reveal whether Adam Strange is a hero or a disgrace. Mate.
Yeah. See that little silence there says it all.
You've read this, haven't you?
I have.
So first off, I want to start with the art is spectacular,
isn't it?
And one of the things that I love about the way the story is told, it kind of jumps back and forth. So it's set in the modern day, but it's also flashbacks to his time on Ron and the war and stuff like that. And when you have the flashbacks, there's much more like a classic kind of DC comic, if you get what I mean. Mm-hmm. It's bright, it's bold, it's colourful. But when you do the modern day stuff, it's almost like kind of it's beautiful, but it's kind of gritty and it's almost like watercolor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some might find it a bit jarring, but I didn't. I thought it worked really well, and it's just like I said, it's beautiful. I read it on my Kindle, but I can see you can get it hardcover, and I'm like, I'm tempted. But so you said the art was.
I got it hardcover, and it comes in this nice slipcase, which is like, you know, and it's got this. It's got the book cover of Adam Strange writes a memoir, and it's got the book cover. It looks great, and when you take it off, you see it's been graffiti. The actual cover of the hardcover looks like a graffitied version of the cover of the book, and it's just. So even the cover tells a story. Do you know what I mean?
And if I had to sort of, so as I said, the art is lovely, but the story is fantastic. And I was trying to find comparison. So in one respect, it's a mystery. Anyway, story-wise, I thought the story was brilliant. I can't believe it's going to be a diss now about Arrow, the TV series, but like, I can't believe how badly. Because I've never really read anything with Mr. Terrific in.
Yeah.
Right. Oh. So maybe I'm doing the Arrow TV show a disservice.
No, you're not. No, you're on it. You're
okay.
Right.
Okay. Because the way they do Mr. Terrific in this,
it's the first time you get him.
I got him.
The first time his character makes sense.
Yeah.
I've always been interested in Mr. Terrific. You know, he's like one of the few. Prominent black superheroes, but for how prominent he is, he doesn't get any props, and I don't think it's ever been really handled well. It's the same way I feel about Vixen. You know, it's another black character that's incredibly powerful, but just ain't handled right, so no one really gives it the props. But I read that and I came out of it going, Mr. Terrific, I see you.
Yeah,
I see you.
Yeah, I see you, man. Because the way they framed it with like the his little sphere things, just constantly asking him questions whilst he's doing stuff, just to kind of keep his edge, is just and the way that narrative resolves is brilliant. Yeah, man. But it's heavy hitting, man.
But this is Tom King's thing. You take these characters that were kind of B-listers at best back in the day, and just make something amazing from them. And it's always quite hard to read, but it's always a compelling read.
Yeah.
So on the same tip, and I did this so that we could talk about stuff later. I read
Mhm.
by Tom King, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. See, I downloaded a sample of that, but I haven't even checked that out.
So
Okay.
it's written by Tom King. The art is by Bill. The art is by Bill Quee Everly. Hope I said that right. The colors are by Mateus Lopez, and the letterer is Clayton Cowles again. And someone described this as a superhero riff on True Grit. Remember the old western?
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
I mean,
I'm in.
Supergirl. And I'm like, hold on, let me find the blurb. Here she is, a young woman who saw her planet destroyed and was sent to Earth to protect a baby cousin who ended up not needing her. What was it all for? Wherever she goes, people only see her through the lens of Superman's fame. Just when Supergirl thinks she's had enough, everything changes. An alien girl seeks her out for a vicious mission. Her world has been destroyed and the bad guys responsible are still out there. She wants revenge, and if Supergirl doesn't help her, she'll do it herself, whatever the cost. Now, a Kryptonian, a dog, and an angry, heartbroken child head out into space on a journey that will shake them to their very core.
Damn.
So it's like Supergirl's like the John Wayne character if we're going with True Grit.
Yeah.
And it's weird because she's Supergirl. Do you know what I mean? She's wholesome, she's kind, she's giving, she's full of self-sacrifice, but she's also full of anger. She's holding in, she's foul-mouthed, she's got PTSD, and it's like, do you know what? She will move the universe for you, but don't cross her. It's something that comes over quite clearly in this. Don't cross her, and it's brilliant. I described it, so I did a little Goodreads review just with one sentence, and I said it is horrific, beautiful, poetic, haunting, compelling. It was all of those things because this, and it's narrated by the girl that seeks her out to help her get revenge.
Okay.
And it's really poetic. It's 8 issues and it takes a long time getting where it's going, but that's okay. And they see some horrific things along the way, and it's how it changes them, what they do, and the conclusion. I was like, oh, okay. But what makes it as well, I mean, Tom King can write, but the art, I can't tell you how much the art complements the style of the storytelling.
Right.
Because it's really strong, and yet it seems quite willowy at the same time, if that makes any sense. It's quite soft.
Yeah. Is the art the same? Because I saw the cover, I think, for it. Is the art indicative of what's on the cover? That makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm with you now. And I got a sense of what it looks like.
It's so, and I found it really interesting as well because I often find you get used to the fact that most super people just look sexy. They can't help it. They're just drawn that way, all of them, pretty much.
Yeah.
And
this is the problem I have.
And you read this, and it's not that she. You know what I mean? She just is a human. I don't know, because it's not sexualized art, and I think some people don't think they're doing sexualized art, but it's blatant. You know what I mean? Male and female superheroes. It's just art. I don't know. You know where I'm going, but
yeah.
It was just. Yeah, man, it was a hard read at times, but I couldn't put it down.
Okay, I'm on it. That seems to be his kind of calling card, really.
Yeah.
No, I'm on it.
Yeah.
So the film I wanted to talk about, which isn't the film you think I'm going to talk about, because I know we mentioned it briefly before we started recording, but I need to talk to you about this one whilst it's fresh in my head, and I only watched it yesterday. So I watched Wakanda Forever.
I watched it yesterday.
Did you?
No, day before yesterday.
Okay.
But it was for the second time, but it was with Siobhan Siobhan's first time, and I watched it with her.
Okay. So, I want to say first off, like I really enjoyed Black Panther. I did really enjoy it. So going into this, I was kind of going into this quite blind because I was kind of like, I didn't get caught up with any of the hype with it. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted
you know me, I avoid all.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to watch it cold, and obviously I knew there was going to be a lot of emotional stuff around it, given obviously the passing of Chadwick Boseman. So my first sort of reaction when I went to put it on was like, why is it so long?
Everything's long though, man.
I know, but it was something like, was it 3 hours or something? I don't know. I think it was 2 hours 40.
It was two, about 2.5.
About two and a half,
If you take off
2:40.
10 minutes for credits.
Yeah. So my thing was like, so first off, I want to say like, there's some powerful performances in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So I want to, you know what I mean? I want to say that first off, and I think one of my sort of bugbears, not necessarily to do the film, was like I saw a lot of people sort of kicking off about kind of like, oh, they should have just recast T'Challa.
Mm-hmm.
And my kind of take on it, I think, especially after watching the film now, is like, okay, but let's say we, you know, let's say Chris Evans, before they got to like Endgame, let's say they'd done, I don't know, like a couple of the Avenger films, and he said like, I had enough. Do you know what I mean? I'm out. You know, I'm not going to do it anymore. Would they have recast Captain America?
I don't know. I mean, I'm in the recast camp.
That's what I think.
Because my thing is, T'Challa was one of my favourite characters before the movies came along.
Yeah. Likewise.
And now there's no more T'Challa stories in the...
Likewise. Don't get me wrong, I'm torn. But on one hand, I'm kind of like, I can still go and read Black Panther. I can still get my T'Challa fix. And on the other hand, I kind of think that the way that they did it within the MCU, I think it made sense.
It did. I'm not going to lie, and it was such a tribute. I mean, I had tears in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think it made sense for them to do the minute the film started. And the way it started, I'm like, you know what? It makes sense. To me, it makes sense. Whereas I feel like if they'd rolled out another guy as T'Challa, it would have felt.
It's also like, how'd you follow that anyway?
Yeah. I kind of feel if they were going to I also feel if they were going to recast him, you need to have a gap. You need to let that shit rest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You couldn't just come. You know, I mean, a year later, and it's like, yeah, we've got such and such as T'Challa now. It just wouldn't have worked. So I feel you can make an argument either way. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, I digress. So overall, it was all right for me. It was okay. I enjoyed it. I felt there were times I felt it was too. And this is me saying it. Normally, I'm not really a person. There were times I felt it was too long, and by that I mean that. When I see certain scenes, I'm kind of like, well, you could shave that off. That's when I think it's too long. You know, I understood what they did with Namor, and understood why they made the decisions they made with him. But like what you were just saying about T'Challa and whatever, when I was a kid, Namor was he was like my go-to. Do you know what I mean? He was up there with Thor. I loved Namor. You know, I loved the look of him. I loved the way that he spoke and all of that sort of stuff.
Hey man, you got your winged ankles.
Yeah, no, true that. I mean, there's some things you can leave. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, there's some things you could just leave, and everyone would have been all right with it. You know, but. I think I still feel they did him justice, but there's that part of me, the comic reading younger version of me is kind of like, but I want to see the Namor that was from the comics. You know what I mean? That's just me. But the kind of adult, more kind of discerning me, I'm like, I can totally see why they did it the way they did it and decisions that they made. I don't know. It didn't grab me in the way the first film did, and maybe some of that was because we didn't have T'Challa. I
reckon I can tell you why it didn't.
Go on.
Because I think, first and foremost, it was a treatise on grief through the lens of the Marvel Universe. Secondly, it was a superhero movie. And I think that was the problem. It was trying to be two different things, and it was trying to be more one than the other.
That's a good point. I think that, and neither take did I have a problem with.
Mm.
Both you and I have lost people. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So I think the way they dealt with some of that, I thought was really good, and certainly didn't bother me at all, and I didn't feel like I was bored watching them deal with that. You know.
Mm. But they were also trying to fit so many other things in as well.
But then it got jarring because all of a sudden everyone was punching each other, and then there was fighting, and it felt, some of it felt like that came out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? And yeah,
it's really so. I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I understand everything you're saying, and I felt it, and I did come out going, I really loved that, but it felt a bit disjointed.
Yeah,
and it's really interesting because I saw, weirdly, the same week I saw a number of people go, "Oh, I watched it for the second time. It didn't feel as disjointed as it did the first time." And I found that to be true the second time for me, but I could still see it, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I didn't, because I've seen some, like, a lot of people didn't like it. Just some, and I wasn't in that camp, And my thing sometimes with films is like, you give me like a good set piece and a couple of kick-ass speeches and some emotional beats, and I'm you know what I mean. That's enough for me. That's enough to get me over the hurdle. You know what I mean? And I gotta say, man, Angela Bassett.
Oh man! I'm telling you,
man. She gave
she
gave a couple of speeches in there's an opening scene with her. I was just like, you done poked the bear, man.
Oh man, I was almost out of my seat cheering at that. I was like, damn.
I know it's a mild spoiler, but when they didn't bring in like the soldiers, and they just said, tell them to kneel like in Wakanda. They just kneel. There's nothing. There's no mouthing back. There's no. It's like, boy, you got beat down, man.
There. Have I not given enough?
Have I not given everything? Oh,
yeah.
Man, I tell you. And like I said, the emotional stuff was on fire. I think maybe that's what it was, Monts. I think the emotional stuff for me was on fire. All of that hit. I think it was the actual story, the superhero story. Do you know what I mean? Like you say, the MCU part of it that we got to do, I feel didn't engage me enough. And my other thing is, it's like, it felt, plot-wise, it kind of felt similar to the first film. It's kind of like, we're going to go after. Also, as well, like, I never felt like the surface world, or the outside world, for want of a better word, was in any kind of danger.
It wasn't. Not
Do
yet.
You know what I mean?
Not yet. And it's like, so you got a common enemy and you decide to turn on each other. Like, part of me was like, okay.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
It just didn't. It needed more. I think you had these two great civilizations and whatever. It needed more of the outside world and how they're dealing with that as well. If Namor had rocked up at the UN and was mouthing off things like, right, boy, I'm coming for all of you people, that would have been enough for me.
You know what I mean? Just let's see a tidal wave sink New York. And
something, because my thing was, it's kind of like, if it was all about him trying to keep things under wraps, but I'm like, but you clearly weren't worried about this.
You're clearly not worried.
You're clearly not worried, so I don't understand.
Wakanda, man, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So why are you sweating it? That's what I didn't. So yeah, it was weird. It was weird. But like I said, I thought the emotional stuff was it got me.
I think the other thing I didn't buy as well was Ironheart, Riri. The film wouldn't have missed her.
I know. Equally, the whole side story with I was going to say Morgan Freeman.
Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman. I'm like, you could have cut all of that out.
Yeah.
It didn't, because there wasn't enough.
You know,
I'm not saying
just have him feed through the information and leave it at that.
Leave it at that. Yeah, it didn't need it. It's just trying. It was just trying to, like you said, it was trying too many. Trying to keep too many plates spinning when there was only really one plate it should have been focusing on, and that was the emotional stuff. I thought the Namor stuff. I thought he was good, but the stakes were wrong. It just made no sense to me.
Yeah.
It made, you know what I mean? Either join us or die. It's like, but why?
Yeah, exactly.
You'll be the first, but why? They weren't troubling you,
innit?
They weren't the ones you come to your.
It's like, you bring us the scientists. Why don't you go get them yourself?
Yeah, I just thought that whole kind of that whole. Anyway, ran over.
Yeah.
Do you want to do DC stuff?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, it's time to talk about DC.
Aye.
So, how do you want to do it?
Well, someone made a good suggestion, actually.
Yeah, I saw that.
They said, so we used to do, well, we just haven't done it yet this year, but we have our pilot season where normally Dave will have the all the different pilots that are coming out from all the networks, and he'll read me the pilot pitch, and then normally I'll either go yay or nay, and then hilarity ensues, hopefully. So,
let's just go for it.
So I thought, I think I've read some of them, but I can't. To be fair, I can't remember most of them.
I'm here for you, man. I'm here. I'm your DC boy, so let's go.
But you got the knowledge, so
let's go. Let's go.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So first up, we've got Creature Commandos.
All right. So what I want to do. So this is an animated movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so
it's an animated. It's a 7-episode animated series.
Oh, okay, series. Right. So I'll need to give you a little bit of background to the Creature Commandos here.
Okay.
So this was created by a guy called J.M. DeMatteis, who, in my mind, is a comics writing legend. Yeah, and he was put together with the artist Pat Broderick, and who did the art, and they made it come to life. But it's one of those things that I thought had been around for much, 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 much longer than it actually has. So. In 1980, there was a comic called Weird War Tales, and that's where it came into being. But it's kind of set in World War II, so it kind of gives you the idea that it's older. So, when things get confused in your brain. But what was great was J.M. DeMatteis, who was just starting out, he came up with this idea. He went to his boss, and his boss just went, "Bruv, this is nonsense. Fuck it. Might just work." Yeah. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. Those weren't the exact words. But it was definitely along the lines of, this is silly enough, it might just work, yeah. And it so in terms of comic book history, the team was created in Project M, which is a secret government organization, and the team was Lieutenant Matt Shreve, who was a human, Warren Griffith, who was a werewolf, Sergeant Vincenzo Velcro. Vincent Velcro.
How are you?
Yeah, he was a vampire. Private Elliot Lucky Taylor, who was a Frankensteinian monster. And Dr. Myrna Rhodes, who was a Gorgon. And G.I. Robot. Yeah.
Man.
But the great thing about the guy they called Lucky, yeah, they called him Lucky because he stepped on the landmine and didn't die. But you got sewn up together with lots of body parts and became like Frankenstein.
I mean, Lucky, you know.
That lasted for 3 years. Then in 2000 they got another title, and but then when New 52 came along, they got a reboot along with the whole DC universe, and they featured in a comic called Frankenstein: Agents of Shade.
Oh, I remember that. I never read it though.
So that was by Jeff Lemire, and then when he left, it was taken on by Matt Kindt. 16 issues. I read it. I loved it. This team's also got the Bride of Frankenstein in it, but she weren't really into Frankie, so you got some shade going on there.
Right.
Yeah. And while I'm on talk about Shade, so they work for Shade. Shade stands for Superhuman Advanced Defense Executive. Yeah. And I thought, let me look them up just to be sure what they do. And I had to quote some of the, I had to cut and paste some of this. I'm going to read this. The guy who's heading up Shade is called Father Time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to read this bit of blurb because several Shade operatives defect from the organization to form a new version of the Freedom Fighters under the guidance of Uncle Sam, resulting in Sam and his team being declared enemies of Shade and Father Time and his ally, Gonzo, the mechanical bastard.
Not to be confused with Gonzo the Great. I think sometimes we forget like that the comics are originally supposed to be for kids.
Oh, doesn't that make you want to go back and read it?
No, I'm going to.
Oh man, I got tears coming out my eyes.
Gonzo sorry, was it again? Gonzo
the mechanical bastard.
I mean, that's so specific.
So, I mean, everything about this is killing me. So now Gunn's put a team together. It's got Rick Flag Sr. Now, we saw Rick Flag in the Suicide Squad movie.
Okay.
So I'm assuming this is his dad. Nina Mazursky. And if you've seen the picture, she looks like Abraham, what's him called, from BPRD?
Yes, I'm looking at the picture now.
Yeah. You've got Dr. Phosphorus, Eric Frankenstein, G.I. Robot is back, and Weasel, who was also in Suicide Squad.
Oh, yeah.
And the team will be led by the Bride of Frankenstein.
Nice.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, see, this is where this is the thing that DC has done better than Marvel, and and we were talking about that with Pennyworth, yeah? It's the out of left field stuff.
Yeah.
And this just looks like it's proper out of left field fun. Because Marvel, they don't have that much weird and wonderful stuff. I mean, they did Werewolf by Night, which was great.
Yeah.
Whereas DC stable, I mean, look at Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, Doom Patrol, they're all a little bit out there.
Even Swamp Thing, I didn't know it was short-lived. But
absolutely. Yeah. And I think I feel like they're leaning into it, and I feel like that's a good way to go. So I'm Creature Commandos all over it.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that James Gunn has said is they've not cast the voice actors yet, but they're looking to the people that they basically, and I think this is his concept across the board, the people who do the voices will also play the live action versions.
I love that.
And that's his like edict across the board now. So whoever they cast as like the new Batman, the new Superman, if they do animated stuff, it will be those actors doing the voices.
I love that.
So I think, yeah, fair play. Okay. Have to keep them a bit more brief though.
Yeah, no, that was the longest one by far.
Okay. So next up, we've got Waller.
Right. Go on.
So Viola Davis will return as the ruthless and morally ambiguous head of a government task force. Oh, it's written by Krista Henry, did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, the creator of the Doom Patrol TV series.
So, see, what you just said there, who created it, that gives me hope. But I'm not here for it. I'm not a big fan of villains and villain-based movies. Having said that, I love the second Suicide Squad. And even though Amanda Waller's on the side of the Saints, she's pretty much a villain. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, so where are we going with that? What's the point? And I'm just not keen. And I can't even envisage, I don't know, I'm not keen.
Not feeling it.
I'm not part of the I hate wholesome heroes brigade. They'll probably love it, but that's not for me. Of course, I'm going to watch it, and I might, you know what I mean? I might be pleasantly surprised, but I'm like, so where are we going with this? This horrible woman.
Yeah.
We're making a film about this horrible woman.
Well, this will be a series. This will be a series. It'd be interesting to see if I think what they're saying is they'll have quite a few people from the Peacemaker series in there.
Right, so it's more like Suicide Squad, but it's from her point of view. Or
maybe. We'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah. Maybe.
I'm interested because
there's not enough info.
Yeah, I'm interested because I like Viola Davis, so I'm interested to see how they tackle it. This one will be probably more up your street then. Or not, actually, given how we always feel about this. Superman Legacy.
No.
But you literally just said
I know.
I like my wholesome heroes. No one's more wholesome than Superman, and this
Okay,
is a
no,
legacy.
all right, no. Do you know what? I probably would be if I hadn't seen so much of him over the last 10 years.
Yeah,
Oh, so all I'll say, I don't personally need another Superman movie, but I can see why. Why would you throw away one of DC's flagship characters?
yeah,
And I did see something where James, where it's one of them, I think not James Gunn, I think it was the other one, said that they want to use they call it the diamond characters. They want to use the diamond characters to introduce some side characters who will become the diamond characters.
yes, I heard this. Yeah,
So if they're using it as gateway drugs, I'm like, okay, I can see that.
yeah. I suppose I'm kind of with you about Superman because I've seen so much of him. But one of the things that I kind of interested in, I'm glad, I suppose the better way to put it is the fact that they've said it's not an origin story.
Oh, thank God.
And it focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. He is the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way. He is kindness in a world that thinks that kindness is old-fashioned.
I mean, I suppose, that's what I've been asking for.
I mean, that's literally what you just said, mate.
I know, maybe it's because it's Superman.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly why.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as I said, I'm kind of, Superman could be good, could be not, but I'm not as excited about that as I am with Creature Command because I've got no frame of reference. And I suppose that's what I mean.
Mm.
Superman, you know what you're going to get buying, I think, anyway.
This is a film, not a series, isn't it?
This is a film.
Right, yeah, okay. Cool,
Yeah.
Cool.
So next we've got Lanterns. So this I'm interested in just because of the way they're selling this.
Mm.
So in this, our vision for this is very much in the vein of True Detective.
Mm.
It's terrestrial based.
That's the bit where I found myself going, oh.
Yeah, I know. It will feature prominent Lantern heroes Hal Jordan and John Stewart. And they're saying it's one of the most important shows they've got in development because it plays a big role into leading into the main story they're telling across film and TV.
Mm. That is interesting. That is very interesting.
Yeah.
There's a certain alarm bell going off for me, but I'm not going to mention that till we get to the end. But This is feeding into it.
Okay.
And I do like the idea that I'm not averse to the True Detective style-y. The terrestrial base thing turns me off a bit.
It does a little bit for the Lantern stuff because,
the whole point of them is they're cosmic.
Yeah. And I thought you could have picked other heroes that could have covered off the terrestrial based stuff.
You got the question there, man.
Yeah, it is, so that seems odd.
In my mind, the True Detective stuff, that's got the question written all over it.
But the thing is, they could have still done that True Detective stuff, but they just set on another planet.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
So the next one, this one, I was shocked.
You're going to say The Authority, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for people that don't know, The Authority, a movie based on a team of superheroes with rather extreme methods of protecting the planet that first originated in the late 1990s under influential imprint known as Wildstorm. What they're saying is one of the things of DCU is that it's not just a story of heroes and villains. Not every film and TV show is going to be about good guy versus bad guy. Giant things from the sky come and good guy wins. There are white hats, black hats, and grey hats. They're kind of like Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. They know you want them on the wall. At least they believe that.
See, so Wildstorm was this brand new universe that DC created to play in without any of the sort of normal DC hang-ups, so they could just do what they want. And The Authority was their version of the Justice League. But that's where the analogy stops, though, because...
because they were cold, man.
They were they wanted to get the job done. They didn't care about law. They didn't care about political boundaries. And it was yeah. So, but I mean, it was a great series.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So here's my only concern is if they're building a shared universe, when I started to lose interest in The Authority was when they closed down Wildstorm and brought them over to the regular DC universe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, we're too crowded. You got the Justice Society there, you got the Justice League there, you got this team, you got that team, and now you've chucked one of the most powerful teams ever in as well. And it's just too crowded. So in my mind, please make it in a parallel universe, because I don't see how they can exist in the same world as Batman and Superman, especially as the two main characters in it are basically Batman and Superman takeoffs.
Yeah, well, like you said, the whole concept of it is basically like a very very extreme Justice League.
So
Which
go on.
Okay, I was going to say, which would have worked if they were never going to do that, but if they'd suddenly decided, you know what, we're done with like Batman and Superman films, so we're going to do, or we're done with the Justice League films. Do you know what I mean? But we're going to bring in the Authority, and that's almost like our Justice League now.
Yeah,
that's a very dark approach if that's the way you're going to go.
I mean, I'm torn because I'm all over this, but I can't see them existing in the same universe as Superman and Batman wouldn't stand for it. Do you know what I mean?
No,
there'd be war between them. So I don't. You can't put them in the same. We'll see. But I'm torn.
Okay, so next we've got Paradise Lost. So this they're describing as a Game of Thrones style drama set on the all-female island that is Wonder Woman's birthplace, Themyscira. Filled with political intrigue and scheming between power players, it all takes place before the events of the Wonder Woman films. I've got to say, I'm not interested in this at all.
Listen, I'm all over that. That first Wonder Woman movie was one of my favourites, full stop.
Yeah.
We're talking Amazons, man. I want heroics and action, not grim, dark, political backstabbing drama.
Yeah, I'm not
there for that. That's not what I'm there for, man.
I'm not interested in that. A Themyscira TV show, yep. I'm all in for that, but a Game of Thrones, I'll just know. You make it sound like Dallas or something, man. I'm not. Hopefully,
they're gonna have. Was this a movie?
TV series.
TV series. Of course, yeah, Game of Thrones start. I'm not. They're gonna have to do some work to bring me into that.
And also, as well, I'd be more interested if it was kind of set after the events of Wonder Woman or during the events of Wonder Woman. Do you know what I mean? I'm just, and it would be like, and this is where we got the Halo of Truth from, and this is where we got the bracelets from, and maybe one day someone will be worthy of it. Do you know what I mean? I'm just,
No.
Anyway, next up, we've got The Brave and the Bold, which they're calling the introduction of Batman to the DCU. And also, but in this one, it's going to be obviously Batman and Robin, but Robin's going to be Damian Wayne.
Who's his actual son.
Yes.
And was raised by the League of Assassins, so he's a little bit of a psychopathic tween.
Yeah.
So, when you hear The Brave and the Bold, because of the cartoon, first thing I say, yeah, it's going to be fun. But it sounds like a dysfunctional family drama with a bit of action thrown in.
Yeah. Although it could still be, they could maybe be going for that kind of almost buddy cop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not writing this off in the way I've just written off Paradise Lost. I'm keeping an open mind to this one.
Yeah, and obviously they've confirmed this isn't going to be Robert Pattinson's going to be a brand new actor as Batman because Robert Pattinson will turn up in the Batman sequel. So
they've got. So DC have now got what I call the Moneymaker universe.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. That's what it is.
It's like they go, yeah, we're wiping the slate clean. We're starting again, except for these ones because they seem quite popular.
Yeah.
So you got the Batman sequel in there, you got the Joker sequel, you got the Black Superman project, which they think might be quite hopeful. You got Teen Titans, the inconceivably popular Teen Titans Go, and they're like, yeah, we're wiping the slate clean, apart from these ones because they look like they might have something going for them. You know what I mean?
And they've said, apparently, he said as well, like, you know, because they've said there's going to be some sort of reboot, which obviously will be so my hang on, what have we got? Hang on, we've got two more, and then I'll come back to. And we've got three more. Booster Gold.
All over this.
So it's about a loser from the future who uses basic future technology to come back today and pretend to be a superhero. That's the sort of shit you'd pull off, man.
This is what that's what I'm in.
To be fair, I probably wouldn't do as well. I don't know what I'm trying to be high and mighty.
It's like, so in the comics, he was like the equivalent of like an American football player, and he kind of failed at that, and he just broke into like a museum and stole some bits. I went back in time. I'll just pretend to be a superhero. I'm like, this is genius, man. This is what I want. Give me some hijinks, man. I want some hijinks going on.
So a complete 180 on that. The next one I've got is penultimate one, which we talked about earlier. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
Now, I mean, if they do justice to the comic, I'm like, wow. But this ties into something that. Well, I'll see what the last one is yet, because I don't actually know what that is.
The last one, which is they're saying a horror film that promises to close out the first part of the first chapter, is Swamp Thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. If they can bring out a nice horror vibe and just bring in, what made the Swamp Thing as popular as it has been for decades, then yeah, nice work. I really admire them going for that in like their first slate of stuff. I'm like, yeah, nice. Shall I tell you what my problem is?
Yes.
Shall I round up how I see the whole thing?
Yes.
So I think, despite the controversy of what they've done with wiping the slate clean, apart from the Moneymaker universe,
the Moneyverse,
yeah, the Moneyverse. I like what they've done in the way they've put it together. They've acknowledged that Marvel's got a pattern that works, like their different phases.
Yeah,
divide it in. But the way they've announced these things, there's no clear pattern here, and I like the fact that it's kept it a little vague. They all look very separate, but you're telling me there's a thread somewhere. Mm-hmm. I really like that, and I think you look at what they've announced, and it's all got a very, very, very different feel to what Marvel's doing.
Yes,
and I think that was necessary. That was essential. They can't just, And as much as I loved the extended Snyderverse, it was still pretty diversive. So, diversive, is that a word? Divisive.
Divisive, yeah.
So taking control of it and going, right, this is where we're going, and just bringing out these different things. I mean, Booster Gold.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Not many people outside the comics knew who Iron Man was, but more people knew who Iron Man was than Booster Gold. So, I mean, like, I got nothing but I'm applauding that.
So also, Creature Commandos. Come on, man! I didn't know who they were.
I mean, and that's first up.
Yeah, Joey.
Oh, and the Authority. I'm like, yeah.
But I think he himself proved that with Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think Guardians of the Galaxy was a game changer.
And a gamble.
Because you did take a character that no one knew who the guy. I'd probably read like maybe one.
Yeah, likewise.
So it was
I'd heard of Star-Lord.
Yeah, but it proved you could take. I mean, to a certain extent, yes, Iron Man did, but you proved that you could take characters that no one had heard of and make a success out of them if it's done right.
So tell you what my problem is.
Yeah.
This is the thing I've been alluding to the whole way through, is there was so much complaint about how the previous DC was just dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to... Waller, dark. Yeah. Lanterns, True Detective, that wasn't no light shit.
No.
The Authority.
It wasn't like Bad Boys, was it?
No, yeah, right? The Authority. I mean, I'm even talking about ones that I'm looking forward to. The Authority.
Yeah.
Dark. Paradise Lost. Dark. Brave and the Bold. Psychopathic tween raised by assassins. It could be fun, but there's some darkness going on there. Supergirl. I love it, but dark. Swamp Thing. Horror. And I'm like, that's why I got so excited about Booster Gold in there. Because it looks like the only, apart from Creature Commandos, it looks like the only one that's going to be fun.
No, Superman Legacy.
Well, yeah. Yeah, give you that. I mean, yeah, there's a smatter in there. But I'm kind of like, I don't know. I mean, Marvel's trapped the kids, and I can't see how this is gonna bring the kids running in. It's bringing me in.
Yeah, see, no, yeah. I think a lot of it is gonna come down to tone
Mm,
because you can read what things say on a synopsis, but it's only when you actually, you get to that trailer or a bit more info and you see the kind of tone that they're kind of going with. Do you know what I mean?
mm.
But you're right.
That's just my instinct.
No, but you're right. When you look at, say, like Lanterns, when you do like when you're doing an elevator pitch for like a book or anything like that, and you do comparisons, you compare for the tone. So if you say like, this book is like it's a cross between like Raise of the Lost Ark and like The Mummy or whatever. People straight away, people have an idea. People have an idea of what tone's going to be like.
Mm,
So the fact that they have said, yeah, it's going to be in the vein of True Detective, well, to me, you're not going to say that unless it is something that's going to be a little bit gritty.
yeah,
Whereas, I don't know, with Waller, the fact that it's got the person who's the creator of the Doom Patrol TV series might be something a bit more off the wall than we think it's going to be.
yeah.
But no, I'm with you. I'm really excited for it because this was not what I was expecting.
Yeah, absolutely.
At all. Like, at all.
At all.
It would have been so easy. And the thing is, as well, is like, it's easy to sort of go, oh, they're just copying Marvel. But yeah, but what else what else are they going to do? They've got to, they've got to bring films out with heroes in.
Mm.
And I suppose my thing is, the thing that interests me more is the whole kind of concept of the idea that whoever stars in the live action stuff will also be in animated stuff. And I think TV as well. I think that's what he said. So it's just so you just get a consistent character.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I really like because I always felt like even though we never saw like a Green Arrow in any of the sort of films, in my mind, if you'd done any sort of DC film back then, and it wasn't Arrow from the TV series, and I'm like, well, I'm out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's the same. It was the same with the Flash, and even and to me, it always felt weird when the guy that you cast for the Flash wasn't the guy from the TV series. He'd already been doing it for like 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah, I know,
and doing it well.
I did find that weird.
But you kind of got burnt with that one, didn't you?
Just a little bit.
But you wish you'd hide him now. But the last thing I wanted to sort of say before we kind of round up is on the Flash. So when you look at the amount of people that got cancelled off DC and got sacked and get all sorts, right? And whereas the Flash film and the actor seemed untouchable, given the fact that given what all the stuff that he's been up to.
Mm.
And I kept thinking to myself, like, why haven't they kicked this guy to the curb? Why haven't they shelved the film? I mean, boy, they shelved Batgirl quick enough.
Mm.
And then I thought, you know why? It's because they need that film. It's because he's going to reboot everything in that film, isn't he?
Of course, it's faster than light.
Flashpoint, innit? That's what he's going to do.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're a genius, man.
I'm telling you, that's what he's going to do. And that's why they need that film. That's why they can't afford to can that film, because that film kicks everything off.
Yes. You're right.
It's the easiest way to do it. He runs back in time. He'll then appear and it'll be like, oh, it looks a bit different. And they probably will have already cast someone there, but do you know what I mean? And it's all of a sudden then they can do whatever they want. Because they've already said like certain people might still be about, like they might still use Aquaman and whatever. But it's easy, they'll just erase that version of Superman and Batman.
Yeah.
They're gone. But we've got this one now.
Damn.
So on one hand, it's a genius move. It is a genius move. But on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, don't give me this whole kind of like, it's going to be the best film ever. I mean, it might be. But, that's why we want it to come out. No, you need it. You need it to come out. You need that film.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to have to start with a him just walking on, like James Gunn walking on and just going, yeah, this is going to be, these are all the new stories from now on.
Is this on? Hi. So,
welcome to the Gunnverse.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and and Shazam went down well, so that was a family favorite. That did better than they thought it was going to do, I think. And then you got Jason Momoa, so you're not going to get rid of him, are you?
No. And there was definitely something I saw where they were kind of saying about certain ones they're gonna keep. Yeah, and that's when I started to think, what? And you wouldn't kick the Flash dude to the curb, then? Yeah, come off it.
They said he's dedicated to like sorting his shit out. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, there we go.
Then.
So let us know if you agree with our. I don't know. Let us know if you feel strongly about our reactions to the new DC slate. And I've got to say, despite my misgivings and my worries, I'm still very excited to see. I'm a bit sad about some of the stuff that's been wiped and gone and the way that's gone. But I'm also excited to see someone taking control of the rudderless ship that has been DC.
Yeah. Oh, before you, I've just found it. So this is what Gunn has said. When a fan asked on Instagram if he's rebooting the DCEU 100%, he set the record straight with a clear nope. Gunn confirmed that while The Flash will reset many things in the DCU, told you, not everything will change and some characters will remain the same. Yeah, the ones making money. No, Flash resets many things, not all things. Some characters remain the same, some do not. I.e., like Viola Davis, Jason Momoa.
It's the same thing they did in the comics, isn't it? Yeah, we're gonna New 52. We're gonna make it all. No, you're not. No, are you?
I personally, I know we've kind of gone over time, but personally, I would have rathered if you're gonna reboot it, right, and reset it, just reset it. Just reset it. Jason Momoa, he'll get work.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Just stick to your guns. Because it's just going to be, I think if you use them again, it's just going to be confusing, and you're going to get them little one-liners. Oh, you look different. It's just,
yeah,
yeah. Right, round us up, buddy.
So let us know how you feel about our take on it all, and you know how to do that. You can give us an email at the geeks at geeksyndicate.co.uk or find us on social media all over the place. So until next time, Geek Syndicate, we out.